Welcome to another episode of Financially Irresponsible with Rakim Sabri. I'm your host, and I just want to start off this episode by acknowledging that I did not get to spend as much time with you all as I would have liked this season. There was a series of some positive and some not some positive interruptions that made that difficult to do. So we're coming up on the last two episodes of the season, and I want to send you guys off with some helpful tips to navigate your winter spending, saving, budgeting habits, as well as provide you with some of those life updates that I've experienced. So one of them was a conference that I attended out in New Orleans called FinCon. Amazing conference where creators from all over the country and some international come together to discuss content creation within the realm of personal finance. So you have your bloggers, your podcasters, your YouTubers, TikTokers. I mean, everybody who is creating financially focused content comes together for this very large conference once a year to exchange tips, tricks, and ideas on how to get your content more seen and recognized. And so, of course, I had to brag about this show and some of the other content creation that I do while learning from that audience of people that showed up there what they do to make their work so successful. So that was an amazing conference. It was in one of my favorite cities in the world, New Orleans, Louisiana. And of course, I had to head up all of the restaurants, eat all the good food, and take a trip down Bourbon Street. But unfortunately, while I was in New Orleans, Louisiana, I contracted COVID. It was my first time having COVID. And so the conference fell on one of my recording days, and the recovery from COVID also fell on one of my recording days. And so, of course, it created a much shorter season this season around. So I'm looking forward to coming back in the following season and hopefully not having as many life interruptions. Some more positive news or updates. I just recently sat for an exam for the Accredited Financial Counselor designation through the Association for Financial Counseling and Planning Education, or the AFCPE. And I took the exam for the second time because the first time I attempted it, I failed by 2 points. And so this time I passed it. I passed it by 10 points, actually. So huge difference in my scoring. And as of this week, I've submitted the required 1,000 experience hours to get the designation. So I'm waiting on those hours to be approved. And I will be able to officially call myself an accredited financial counselor. And accredited financial counselors tend to work with middle and lower class individuals on financial fundamentals, budgeting, saving, building credit, investing basics, taxes, estate planning. And once our clients get to a certain level of accomplishment within their individual goals, they are in a position where the accredited financial counselor may work on additional goals or may make a referral for more specialized help in areas that we're not licensed in, whether that be investment advising, whether that be estate planning, working with an estate planning attorney. There's a bunch of different financial professionals that we interface with and make referrals to. So as of right now, in the state of Connecticut, there is only one active AFC practicing according to the database. And once my hours are approved, I will be the second of two practicing accredited financial counselors in the state of Connecticut. So serving the greater Hartford region in terms of being physically available and serving whoever, wherever, however, in terms of remote possibility. So I'm super excited about adding that designation to the list of designations that I currently hold and being able to be of greater service to the residents and organizations in the communities around Hartford and Connecticut in general as a whole. So those are my life updates that I'm super excited about sharing. The accredited financial counseling designation doesn't necessarily allow for me to do anything different than what it was that I was already doing, but it did inform my approach to how I work with individuals, particularly merging the worlds of counseling and finance. of financial planning. So super excited about being able to execute on that and using the designation as another mark or piece of credibility in interfacing with some of the organizations in the community that are looking to serve individuals in the areas of financial education and financial empowerment. Moving on, today's episode, I really want to focus on the holiday season and the pressure or stress to buy gifts. So there are a lot of people who this time of year experience an extreme amount of anxiety or stress financially because they feel like they have to buy everybody a gift for the holidays. And regardless of what you subscribe to in terms of holiday season, usually there is this pressure, whether it comes from the workplace, whether it comes from home, whether it comes from just the social gatherings and interactions that we have, to buy the expensive, shiny gift for your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones, whoever that might be. And so I want to reframe gift giving in this season and help people to recognize that, we don't have to buy gifts every season. I know that sounds super taboo, and we've gotten into a cadence of participating in the consumerism of the holidays. We have Black Friday coming up, Thanksgiving, we have Cyber Monday after that, then we have Christmas. And so all of the time in between, people are scrambling, going to the stores, going online, swiping their credit cards, going deeper into debt, when the most appropriate gift to give may be a financial education, may be establishing boundaries in your financial education with in your finances with your family and with your friends. That can look like something as simple as having a conversation about what your goals are and what you're focused on accomplishing financially, and how that either inhibits or limits your ability to purchase gifts for everybody this year. That can look like being creative in the gifts that you do exchange. Maybe you have an artistic ability. Maybe you are good with technology. Maybe you can compile photos and videos and put it into a slideshow on a free video editing app available on the App Store, and buy an inexpensive frame so that you can hand out different gifts that cost very little money. Maybe you can host a holiday party and not necessarily go crazy on decorations, but buy things throughout the year that have utility. So some people, when it comes to the holidays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, they go out, they buy the lights to hang on the outside of their house. They buy the decorations to put in the yard. Then they buy the decorations to put inside of the house. Maybe you don't have to be as elaborate as those people. Maybe you can save some money on your energy bill, or save some money on things that you're going to throw away again later by buying things that you can use throughout the year. Maybe dimmable lights, maybe candles with a fragrance. Maybe you can buy finger foods and host individuals like your friends or your family to come over to your house and play board games, or do an ugly Christmas sweater competition. There are a lot of ways to not go broke during the holidays and to limit your spending so that you're still focused on having a really good time, spending time with family, spending time with friends, participating in the exchange of gifts without going deeper into debt. And I think that when people have conversations around how this cadence or ritual that we go through every year adds on to the stress that they're experiencing financially, or the anxiety that they're experiencing financially, we can remove some of the fear and the shame and the guilt from the gift-giving process. Because there are a lot of people who go into debt who never speak of the pressure of carrying that debt, so that they can make sure that their kids have the newest electronics, to make sure that their partner or spouse has the gift that they've been eyeing, to make sure that they show up and appear as if they are more financially stable or in a better place than they actually are. And so with all the news of recession coming and the pressure to eliminate debt, but also spend money so that you can buy these gifts. I think it's important for us to be very honest and very real with ourselves and with our communities, the people that we interact with, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, our children, our siblings, cousins, whoever that might be, our bosses, whoever that might be, about what it is that we're experiencing, and again, where our priorities lie in either saving, eliminating debt, or just decreasing spending outside of what is your normal living expenses during this time period where we feel prompted and pressured to spend. And so that is a tactical approach to finances, right? We're talking about budgeting like we know we should be budgeting. We're talking about saving. We know we should be saving. We're talking about investing. We know we should be investing, but we also have to take into account or consideration the curveballs that we might experience, like the holiday season or the emergency expense that we didn't plan on having. Got to buy a new tire, got to, pay a medical bill, have to pay a vet bill if you have a vet, or maybe you have to pay for something for your children if you have children. And in that process, deviate from the plan that we had set for ourselves, deviate from what it is that we've established as a cadence in working with our finances to accomplish our financial goals. So I'm a big advocate for mindfulness. I'm a big advocate for writing things down. I'm a big advocate for seeing on paper what those goals look like, or on a dry erase board, what those goals look like, and going after those goals in a SMART goal methodology. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely approach to accomplishing what these goals look like, financially or otherwise, and being able to meditate on those goals so that we can bring them into fruition. I shared with you guys earlier some of the positive experiences that I've had that have interrupted life in being able to complete this season. But some of those positive interruptions were goals that I had set for myself at the beginning of this year by writing it down, by creating a vision board, by using photos so that I can have a visual reminder of what are the things that I want to accomplish. And these can all be applied to your finances in addition to the tactical approach to managing those finances as we talk about budgeting, as we talk about saving, as we talk about building credit or improving our credit, as we talk about investing, as we talk about planning for retirement. All of those things can be laid out on paper or digitally, electronically, what have you, and planned for starting now, going into the future. Looking at the holiday time, looking at the holiday season for next year now, looking at where we want to be from a debt elimination process for next year now, everything we can start planning for now financially. And so we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We don't want to get overwhelmed. We don't want to get stressed out in the process of doing these things. But it's good for us to have a true North Star when it comes to setting and accomplishing these financial goals, and a tactical approach to making sure that they're not just things that we write down, or they're not just things that we wish for, but that they're actually things that we're able to take actionable steps towards accomplishing throughout the year. Now, one of the things that people often do that get them in trouble financially around the holidays is they wait to the last minute. They wait to the last minute to plan for who they're going to buy gifts for. They wait to the last minute to plan for how much they want to budget to buy gifts. They wait for the last minute to plan for how much they're willing to spend at the holiday parties or in the Secret Santas or the Yankee swaps that take place within the office or anywhere else. And waiting to the last minute often results in impulsory buying, kind of like when you go to the supermarket and you're hungry, right? When you go to the supermarket and you're hungry, you're looking around at what can I eat right now to satisfy this hunger that I have? And you start grabbing anything and everything instead of taking a tactical approach to planning out your list, to making sure that you have coupons or that they're on sale, and buying only what's on that list. When people act in this state of frenzy because they waited to the last minute, they end up overspending in instances where you're hungry and you're going to the supermarket, or in instances where you're going on a mad dash to buy a gift for somebody that you care about or somebody's that you care about. And so a good rule of thumb is certainly to start planning for the gift giving or the gift exchange in the holiday season at the beginning of the year or earlier in the year than right now. But if you are at a place where you have not planned, budgeted any expenses for gift giving, do not feel ashamed for using your creative genius and thinking outside the box in being able to take the gifts that you were given that you haven't used, that you don't intend on using, and regifting them, in creating pieces of art, magnets, frames, collages, board games. The possibilities are endless where you can take a gift and create it and exchange it that's meaningful to the person that you're sharing with. Or you can decide, we're going to skip gift giving this year. I've interacted with a ton of people who have been making public declarations that they are not participating in the holiday season by way of spending money on gifts, that they are more than willing to spend time together, that they are more than willing to participate in the family festivities, but they are not spending money that they don't have on gifts. And sometimes taking a hard line stance on the consumption of what we see every day when we scroll on our social media, scrolling through our phones or online, the barrage of ads that we're seeing that tell us we need this thing, even though we've made it for this long without it. Sometimes it's good to just turn things off, take a hard line stance and say, I'm not doing this time. I'm not buying any gifts. I'm going to focus on saving. That's going to be my gift to myself. Or that's going to be my gift to you. I'm going to focus on saving this year so that next year I can buy you a better gift. Or I'm going to focus on eliminating debt so that I have more freedom financially to do things, to spend time, to travel, and have quality experiences with the people that I care about. Because sometimes the reality of the situation is that we buy gifts for people that we don't care about. We buy gifts because we feel like we have to. We buy gifts because there is just this pressure to do so. And so it's super important to get clear on our goals, to get clear on what our priorities are as it relates to spending money on gifts, who falls into that list of priorities, or just deciding for ourselves that gift giving is not on the agenda for this year. From a stress and anxiety perspective, I would encourage you to do what I always encourage you to do, to focus on mindfulness, to focus on breathing, to focus on bringing yourself into the present moment and reminding yourself that you are enough. Your presence is enough. Showing up to somebody's house or to a holiday party or inviting them to yours is enough. And that you don't have to spend a crazy amount of money to spend time with somebody else. Now, if you have children or grandchildren, or you interact with children and you buy gifts for children, they're probably going to be a lot less understanding of this concept of no gifts or no expensive gifts this year. But I also think that it's a great opportunity to introduce the importance of financial education to children or to the children that you're interfacing with, that you have this conversation around, and start to let them see or start to let them participate in practices where they understand the value of setting these financial goals and establishing these financial boundaries that says, sorry, can't do it this year, or sorry, I have other financial priorities that I want to focus on this year, and this is what I'm going to do instead. And so for those of you that have children or that are interfacing with children who may or may not understand that you are choosing not to give them a gift this year, or that you are choosing to go the budget route to gift giving this year, I think definitely important to explain to them the why, as they're probably not going to be interested in why. but certainly can gain a better appreciation for that why later on in life. And when we talk about things like financial trauma, and 10, 20, 30 years goes by, and those kids are explaining their financial traumas to the different audiences that they're interfacing with, they can approach this experience from a position of understanding and not trauma, and saying, you know what, I didn't get the gift that I wanted that one year in 2023 because XYZ person said that they were focusing on their financial goals, or that it wasn't in the budget this year, or whatever the reason that you articulate. But I understand now that it wasn't about me, it was about them establishing healthy financial boundaries so that they can do the things that are important to them. And that was a lesson that I got to carry out into my life all of these years later. Because a lot of times these hard lessons that we experience relating to money and finances are tied to an emotional response to the fact that we can't have it right now, or to the fact that we wanted it and we didn't get it, or to the fact that we wonder, well, what if we were able to have this experience that we weren't able to have due to money? And a lot of those pain points that people experience and articulate later in life, and certainly I'll raise my hand and say I've done it over many situations that I did not get to participate in, or that I did not understand what was happening on the other side of those decisions when I was growing up. I can understand now because I have the educational context to say, oh, this was a sacrifice that needed to be made in order for the lights to stay on, or in order for us to be able to have dinner that night, or in order for ... And so a lot of times we take for granted that kids do absorb and understand things very quickly at a very young age, and that most of the beliefs that we establish as adults are cemented in our minds by the time we are 7 years old. And so if we're not explaining to the 7-year-old and older or younger the why behind some of these decision making, even if they don't understand it in that moment, they're going to create a narrative in their mind around why this thing didn't happen. And they're going to use that narrative to either fuel this concept of trauma that they're interpreting as their experience, or to fuel their desire to not experience that trauma ever again, in creating a sort of hypervigilance around money that maybe they don't need to inherit based off of these informed goals and decisions that you have. And so I would encourage you this holiday season, as you're spending time with friends and family, as you're spending time with your significant other, or even at the holiday party from work, to talk about finances in a way that's non-threatening, that's not accusatory, that is non-aggressive, but purely from a place of education. And maybe ask your colleagues, coworkers, family members, did you have a budget for spending this year? Did you meet that budget? Did you exceed that budget? Or did you go further into debt? And start to understand or socialize the process or the mentality that individuals that you interact with were having when it comes to making these financial decisions. Because if we normalize these conversations, these thoughts, these feelings, and our interactions, we can remove some of the shame and some of the pressure and guilt to make these decisions, even if we recognize them as being detrimental to our financial well-being. So I wanted to leave you guys with that, but I hope that you enjoy your holiday season, and that you have the vocabulary after the various episodes that we've been together, that you have the vocabulary to describe what it is that you're experiencing financially, what it is that you don't want to experience financially, the importance of having alignment within your goals and your values, and what are the things that you're doing from a tactical perspective to bring you closer to the accomplishment of what those goals are. So this has been another episode of Financially Irresponsible. I'm your host, Rakim Sabri, and I hope that you have a great holiday season and holiday spending.
The Saybrook Fish House in Canton has been serving fresh seafood, chicken, and steak entrees for 34 years, offering 3 cozy dining room settings, a newly renovated pub with craft beer, wine by the glass, specialty cocktails, and a lighter fare menu. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Reservations accepted for parties of 2 to 42, and gift certificates are also available. The Saybrook Fish House, nestled at the crossroads of Route 44, 202, and 179 in Canton.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the cliffs with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.